Today we're chatting all about labels because I feel like, and I've been reflecting on this a lot lately, that we have to be really mindful about how we label ourselves. And this goes for not even just personal labels, things we call ourselves, but what we take on in terms of what other people identify or label us as. Because at the end of the day, truly, and I'm going to provide an example as how we're going to get there, you control who you are. You determine how you show up in this world. You determine if you're going to step into your own worth. You control if you're going to continue to feel feelings of negativity, if you're going to embrace positivity. That's all within your control. And while it might not seem like it might not feel like it a lot of times. You might be feeling like you're spinning out of control and there's a lot of your external environment that is actually impacting who you are as a person and how you can function and how you show up in the world. At the end of the day, you're the person that controls you, right? And there is a very powerful tool in our arsenal that can sort of dictate and shift how we present ourselves to the world, and that is the mind. And this is why I want to connect it to labels. If you are somebody, for example, that their whole life they were told, oh, you know, you're lazy, you never clean up after yourself, you're a slob. Let's say your parents told you that incessantly as you were a child. As you grow into adulthood, even if you're not lazy, technically, even if you go to work, you clean your house, you do all those things, there are going to be times where that label that someone else gave you will continue to come up, and you will then take it on for yourself. And an example of this, I was actually talking to a client about this the other day. She had been told by her dad she was lazy as a kid, and this is just a brief example. And as an adult now, I mean, she is not a lazy person by any stretch of the imagination, but if she takes more rest, if she takes more, time to nourish her body with sleep because that's what it needs, she has feelings of guilt and shame because she's feeling like she's being lazy, like she should get up and do something, with herself. So even though that is something that she might have been told when she was a child, when she was a teenager, things like that, it's like she's brought that label with her into the here and now there's guilt and shame associated with it, right? And I think sometimes, this is just sort of a brief example I was talking about just yesterday, but we can do this often. If we see ourselves as a certain way, if we see ourselves as, and this could be the same as like, I'm a quiet person. If you label yourself as that from the time you're very small, and that could have come from somebody else, that could have come from your parents telling you, oh, you should, children should be seen and not heard. And I know that's like a super old cliche and we probably don't do that anymore, but just to provide the context here, right? If you're told that your whole life, you might identify that I'm quiet until you get to adulthood. And then the same thing can happen, right? Where when you're using your voice, when you're speaking up, when you're sharing your opinion, you kind of have this guilt and shame in the back of your head because you have then embodied this label that has been given to you by somebody else. And the same, I think, can happen if you are of the mindset like, I'm sick. I'm a sick person. I'm really, really ill. I've been sick my whole life. I've had, lots and lots of different ailments. I've always been sick. If we continue to say that, and we continue to take on that label, as we know the mind is powerful, and when we tell our mind that same story all the time, I'm very ill, the brain then goes out there and looks for evidence, right? We've talked about this here in the daily message many times. The brain will go, it's very smart that way, and it'll be like, okay, you're sick, cool, let me show you all the evidence that you're right. So I think we have to be very mindful of those labels. And as we get older and then, we kind of start shifting our own way of being, we're maybe going on a change journey, a transformation journey, we then have to work really hard to deprogram all of those labels we've given to ourselves. And that takes a lot of work because it's been there since, let's say, we were a child or, young adulthood, things of that nature. So it's all about having to catch yourself in it. So in the example of the laziness, it's like, okay, now she has an awareness and she's like, when I catch myself saying that, I have to literally say to myself, it's okay. I'm giving my body what it needs. It's okay to take rest. It's okay to take pause. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means that you're giving yourself what you need to be able to function on a day-to-day basis. For the person that's identified themselves as sick their whole lives, that can be a really challenging one because then it's like you have to find a way to then say, okay, I've gone through challenges. My body has gone through challenges. It is now healing, right? So the reframe is that much harder. And it takes that much more effort to kind of catch yourself and understand what's happening and then kind of reframe and create something new for yourself, erring on the side of positive. So I want you to be really mindful about those labels and think about the ones that you've taken on. Really kind of sit back and reflect and say, okay, wait a minute. How do I label myself? How has somebody else labeled me? Is this really true? Is this really true? Maybe it was true then, or maybe there are hints of it that are true, but is it true now? And this is just something I'm holding on to out of habit? Something to kind of think about, because remember, at the end of the day, your mind is powerful. It will create the reality that you program it with. And if you program it with, I'm lazy, I'm sick, I'm not worth it, I'm not good enough, that's what it's going to show you. So let's work on reframing today. Let's work on reframing a label that might be erring on the side of negative and switch it around. See what we can't do with the positive side. Let's try that on for size, see what results we get. And as always, I hope you are happy, healthy, and abundant. And of course, make it a great day, make it a great day. Yeah, see, not as cool without the ponytail, but that's all right. We brought the bun back. Let's get to it, friend. I'll see you soon.